Ahoy, mateys. We're going to do the quick and dirty 8.5. So main things to know when you're working on today's assignment is the zeros, which is where the curve crosses the x-axis, and symmetry. So there's a line of symmetry, axis of symmetry, where the vertex is that always happens right in the middle of the two vertices, right in the middle of the two zeros. So we're jumping right into this one. If it says to graph this, and we're going to do this without Desmos, the one thing you have to realize is that one of your x-intercepts is at -1, and the other x-intercept is at 5. So it crosses at -1 and 5 on the x-axis, which means the axis of symmetry is right in the middle of -1 and 5. So you have to figure out what is the middle number between -1 and 5, and then that happens to be 2. So then that will allow you to find, oh, wait, let me go back to it. So this is the important thing, is realizing where the x-intercepts are. And then the axis of symmetry is the average of -1 and 5. So you can add those up, divide by 2, and you find the axis of symmetry is at 2. And then plot the point, find and plot the vertex. So when you plug in 2 to this equation, that tells you the y value. So you plug in 2, because that's where the axis of symmetry is. Whatever you get is your y value for that. So you do 2 plus 1 and 2 minus 5, multiply those together, put the negative in front of that, or multiply by -1, you get 9. So 2, 9 is the vertex. So there's your parabola. Crosses at -1 and 5 with 2, 9 as the vertex. So anytime you're graphing a parabola, you need 3 key points. And there you go. All right. Take some notes on that. Make sure you understand it. Okay, next one. So for graphing this, in order to graph this, you need to find the x-intercepts, which you're going to do by factoring. So a lot of these problems that you're working on for 8.5, you first have to factor so that you can figure out what the x-intercepts are. So go ahead and factor this down. Find the x-intercepts. Good luck. All right, so hopefully you saw that this, after you factored out the 2, is a difference of squares. So it's 2x plus 2, x minus 2. Therefore, the x-intercepts are -2 and 2. And then right in the middle of that is 0. So you plug in 0 here, and you get -8. So 0, -8 is the vertex. And then you can graph it. So you know the two x-intercepts, you know the vertex. There you go. That's what it looks like. Okay, again, this is a good example to add to your notes. Make sure you understand all this. We're going to jump to a much more complicated example now. Here we go. All right, so for this example, it says to find a quadratic function in standard form that has a vertex of -3, 4. So any quadratic function that has a vertex of -3, 4. So this is where the vertex form comes in handy. So this is what we used yesterday. So we know the vertex is -3, 4. So you can just plug it in. A can be whatever number we want. So you can pick any number for A. They chose 1. You could use 2 or 3 or 4, whatever number you want for A. But the vertex we know is -3, 4. So you plug that in, and then you have to multiply this all out and simplify it, and you get that. So, or again, if you made A a different number other than 1, you would have a different equation that still has a vertex of -3, 4. Okay, part B is a little more complex. It tells you the two x-intercepts, and it tells you a third point, not necessarily the vertex, but a third point. So to solve something like this, what you're going to want to do is realize that it's going to be this form right here in factored form. So we're going to have x plus or minus the root, x plus or minus the other x-intercept, and there could be a coefficient a out there. In fact, there is, but we have to figure out what a is. So this form right here is the general form. We know that the x-intercepts are -9 and -2. Therefore, we know 2 of the roots, x plus 9 and x plus 2. Let me know if you have questions on that during class. Okay, and we still don't know what a is. But we're going to figure out what a is because we know that when x is -4, f of x is 20. Okay, so we know that f of -4 is 20. So we're going to use this value to figure out what a is. So you plug in -4 for x, and then you solve it for a. And it tells you that a is -2. So our leading coefficient here is -2. So then you put the -2 in front, and then we got x plus 9 and x plus 2 are our two other factors. Then you multiply it all out. So you FOIL it all out, and there is your simplified expression. So this equation goes through these these 3 points right here. All right, so definitely include B in your notes. And then we're going to do one last example. Sometimes your equations are not just parabolas. They're not always just quadratic. So anytime you have something that looks like this will be something to the third power. So here we have 3 roots. We have one at 0, we have one at 2, and one at 5. So that tells us that we have 3 factors here. So our first one's going to be x minus 0, second one x minus 2, third one x minus 5. So we know that is true. And again, there could be in fact, there is some leading coefficient a. So to figure out what that a is, we need another point, and they give us 3, 12. So when x is 3, f of x is 12. So you plug in 3 for all these x's, and you solve it for a to make 12. And when you solve it for a, you get a is -2. Seems to be a popular coefficient here. So then you go back and you put -2 in front, multiply it all out, and there is your equation. So this equation right here graphs to make this fancy cubic function. Okay, I know I went fast. There is another ed puzzle if you want to watch a different one that's a little bit more in detail and slower. Otherwise, I'll see you in class. Let me know if you have questions. Good luck. Arr!